Okay, today's video is about this trailer that a friend of mine, Stan, dropped off. It's just a little trailer that actually he pulls behind his service truck to do pressure washing. And what it is somehow, I shouldn't say somehow, looking at the damage, he actually cut this thing turning, probably backing up, too tight. He hit it with the back of his truck, and standing here at the tongue, if you look at the bar, it's actually bent in and it's actually broke. So what we need to do, and it's broke on all sides, and as you can see right here, there's actually a gap here. I got to jack it up, and then I actually have to pull it out, or I'm actually going to try and push it out, seeing how it's broke. And what I'm going to do that, I got a porta pire here, but unfortunately the gap between the straight piece and the piece that goes back at a 45-degree angle is actually too close to get the porta pire in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize what I call a screw jack. It's actually for like a pickup, the older style pickups, where you'd actually put it underneath there and just keep screwing until jack the truck up, change tire. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in there where it's broke. I'm going to put a piece of wood where it's also broke, and I'm going to push it out, and I'm going to use this jack, this floor jack, at the same time to try and get it back up even. And then I'm going to get the welder, and I'm going to weld that, and then just to reinforce it after I grind the weld down, I'm going to put a piece of angle probably on the bottom and top, or a piece of channel depending on what I have in the scrap. And I mean, this is going to take all day, so I'm not going to be videoing every single step, but I am going to keep doing short videos and show you guys the progress I'm making step by step. So this video is going to be starting and stopping all day long. I got a tripod set up that I'm going to go ahead and put the camera on, so I can just hit turn it on, hit record, and you guys can see certain things that I'm doing here. But that's what we're doing here today. Okay, as you can see, I got the jack in place, and I have actually two jacks in place here. I got the screw jack I was telling you about. I got a floor jack here. I'm actually pushing it out right now, and I'm probably gonna have to get the sledgehammer to try and get it to go up where it needs to. You can never do this without some assistance here. And sometimes you have to start all over. Put this stuff back in place. And tighten it all back up again. Might actually have to get a pry bar to get the frame to go where it needs to be, because it don't seem like it wants to cooperate too well. And the reason I'm using this piece of wood is I'm trying to get this straight again. I know it's not straight as far as the trailer goes, it's a 45-degree angle, but just like the other side, it's supposed to be one piece and straight. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, is utilize the center beam to try and get this one back where it belongs. It's got a long way to go. Alright, I'm going to stop the video and go get a pry bar, try and pry this up, trying to get this piece up where it belongs, because I'm looking at the crack and this side is still higher than that side. Okay, actually I went a little too far. according to the crack on this side, because it's jagged, it gives me references to where it's supposed to be. So now I got that where it's actually supposed to be, and we're getting a lot closer to being straight. It's still bent some, but it's getting a whole lot closer. What I might be able to do once I get it close enough is places like here, I might be able to go ahead and beat it down to get it a lot closer to be able to weld, because this gap is just way too big to weld. And what I'm going to be using as a welder is just a Harbor Freight 220 welder. Like I've stated in other videos, I don't do a lot of welding, even though I have a TIG welder in the garage here. I have a MIG welder set up for aluminum in the garage here. I might go ahead and use the TIG welder, because I really do need a lot more practice with the TIG welder, and try and weld that up and see how it works. But like I said, I gotta get this gap a lot closer, and I gotta figure out how to, I'm hoping I can beat it with a sledgehammer and it'll work. I don't know yet, but I still got to try and get it straighter, and it's actually closing up the gap like it should as I'm pushing it back out. It's actually closing it up nicely. The inside's probably already against itself. Probably close that gap up. Oh yeah, that gap's closed nicely, but we're still crooked. And with this bar being straight and welded back together, and then putting angle or channel or something over it, will actually make it strong again like it's supposed to be. Because when you're pulling and backing these trailers up, these side pieces take a lot of stress, because you're actually pushing the trailer nose sideways while you're backing up. As in previous videos, I have stated a lot about using battery operated tools, and I do that because it's not always easy to fire the generator up and all that to use electric. But we're here at the house right now. All it's going to involve is getting an extension cord drug out here to use the battery or corded operator grinder that I got from Harbor Freight. It's a porta cable grinder, which works just fine for the occasional use that I use it for. And then I'm also not have to fire a generator up to do the welding, because we have a 220 cord in the garage, but it won't reach all the way out here. And what I did is a few years ago, I made this 20-foot extension cord that I can just plug into the generator to be able to do the welding out on a job site, because you can't always get the generator to where you want to go. Even with the wheelchair lift on the bus, sometimes it's more practical just leave it in the bus and turn the exhaust towards the door and plug the extension cord in. It's a whole lot easier than fighting with an 8700 watt generator I got from Harbor Freight. So what we're going to do, now that I have got this fairly straight, I was using this straight edge to check to make sure where I got it. I'm going to go ahead and bring the extension cords out, plug this extension cord in, and I decided to go ahead and use the MIG welder. It's a MIG welder 170 wire feed welder. The reason I decided to do that is because with no money coming in, and this is a free job, I mean, I'm not getting paid for any of this. That's why we're using scrap angle or whatever I can find to weld this. I don't want to use the gas for the TIG welder, economics. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the wire feed welder, because it's flex core. I don't have to worry about gas or any of that. And I do have some what's this called? It's anti-fog spray to put on my glasses, because I'm going to have to put glasses on underneath the helmet, and they used to always fog up. So I'm going to go ahead and use that, but right now I'm going to go ahead and grind this down, do a little welding where it's close enough together, then I'm going to use a sledgehammer or two and beat this down, try and get it close together. So I'm going to go ahead and do all that, and get back to you. Okay, I went ahead and got everything set up, and this anti-fog spray that I was telling you about, I just got it from Amazon. I don't know if it's anything special or not. I'm not a professional welder, never claimed to be. I'm lucky to be able to do the welding that I do. But I went ahead and ground this down, and got the welder. I know I say it a lot, and I apologize for that. I got the welder fired up, running, warming up, and I got the ground a spot for the ground wire there. So I'm about ready to go ahead and try and weld this up here around the corner. After I do that, then I'll go ahead and see about getting the hammer and beating that other stuff down while the metal's still hot. And maybe if I weld good enough, I'll be able to take the block off and weld all the way down on the inside, because this thing is broke on all four sides. I mean, it's completely broken in half. And I'm going to go ahead, I already sprayed the glasses, followed the instructions, said about putting it on both sides, rubbing it all around the lens, letting it dry. It's dried. And I'm about to go ahead and see about putting the welder helmet on. And I probably don't need the gloves, but with the medical conditions I have, they're always telling me to stay out of the sun. So that probably goes to do with the welding too. Now, unfortunately, with the fine welding I'm going to be doing here, I'm not going to be able to use the right hand glove, but I'm not going to be welding that long, and I don't think it's going to show up on camera, but I'm going to leave the camera rolling while I go ahead and do that. This metal's so thin, even though I got the welder on minimum, it's actually trying to burn through. I did not realize it was that thin. And of course we got the block of wood on fire, which not a big deal. I don't worry about it. I mean, just a short piece of block. Alright, I do have a little sledgehammer here. I'm going to try and, while this is still hot, try and beat some of this down. And it's definitely come down some. Maybe I can pry this side up a little bit and get it to match up a little better. It's a lot closer than it was. I should be able to weld across here to a certain extent. I don't think I can fill in that gap, but let's see what happens. One nice thing about the flex core is, because this is so thin, I've actually been able to pull away from it and reduce the heat. There's not a lot of settings on this Harbor Freight welder, but for what I do, it does fine. And being able to back away from it to reduce the heat definitely helps with this thinner metal. I don't think I'm going to be able to weld that shut because it's just too big of a gap, but I am going to try and on the outside here get some more closer here, probably beat it down some, pry it a little bit here and there, but that's all I'm doing, just trying to close up this gap and weld it, and then I'll put a piece of angle on it and I'll get back. As you can see, I've got this some welded and ground down. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to fill all the holes in yet, but I'm going to go over and weld here again, try and fill these holes in, and then I'm going to take the board out and the jack out, and hopefully it stays fairly straight. Unfortunately, when you're working with metal, you're always better off going a little bit past where you actually want to the metal to be, because when you let go of the pressure, the metal will come back some. It's not usually a lot, but it's usually a little bit. And I did my best to try and get the metal to come past the point of being straight, but unfortunately I couldn't do it. The best I could do is get it fairly straight before I started welding it. I would have preferred it to be a little further, but it is what it is. I do what I can. All right, I'm going to, on the outside here, I'm going to go ahead and weld some more, try and get some more of these gaps in, filled in, and then take the jack out and weld down the inside. Okay, what I did here is I was able to fill the holes in, and once I had all the holes filled in, I just kept going across further out and melt everything together. So I got all the holes filled up on the inside. This is all filled in. So I'm going to grind this down again, make sure we don't have any more holes. And then if I don't, then I'll take the jack and block out and weld on the inside. What's going to be difficult is laying it on the ground and welding the bottom. And then once I get all that welded, I'm going to put something over it. You can hear the metal cracking from the heat, which is not a bad thing, because I wanted it to be hot so it all melt together. This is only the outside and the top. I still have to take the jack out of there and weld the bottom, weld the other side. I still got a lot of welding to do before I actually put anything over the frame to reinforce it, to make sure that it's strong as it was when it was new. Okay, I got this side here welded down and ground down. Got the top done. Got the bottom welded and somewhat ground. I'm getting ready to take the jack out of there, just basically unscrew it, and then I'm going to weld down the inside. I got a little more grinding on the bottom here to do, because I just don't like the way it's actually bulging on the bottom. It's going to prevent me from putting any kind of reinforcement across, because as you can see, it's hanging down. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grind that bottom down some more, get it level, and then take the jack out. Okay, I got the bottom here ground down to where I can actually put a piece of angle on there now. I'm going to go ahead and take this jack out, and then we're going to see what it looks like on the inside here. I'm expecting the slice to be pretty close to where I can just go ahead and weld that up. And then once I get that welded up, I'll go into my scrap pile and see what kind of angle I got to go ahead and be able to put a piece or two of angle or channel or something on this to make it even stronger, because I'm not sure how well the weld is actually going to hold. So let's go ahead and get this jack taken out of there and see what it looks like. And it's pretty much the same procedure when I put it in. Just unscrew the jack. Not a big deal. A fairly simple jack. Just unscrew it, and hopefully the channel that's on the trailer here stays in place and doesn't move. Now that I got that out of there, we can go ahead and get my straight edge here and see what we're looking like. It's actually not too bad. And this crack, oh yeah, it's nice and tight. So I can just go ahead and weld down the crack. I'm gonna have to grind this off so the angle will actually go in there, but now I can just weld down this slice here where it's broke, and then we'll be ready to go find a piece of angle. Last night I got rained out, so I couldn't finish this up, but now seeing how it rained, I'm gonna have to grind this down a little bit more. And then I'm going to go ahead and, after I grind it down a little more, get all the surface rust off from the rain, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a little bit of black paint. And then I got some angle that I'm going to go ahead and cut to reinforce that. I mean, it's still not perfectly straight. It's as straight as I could get it. I mean, he did a pretty good job when he hit it. And like I said, I got some angle here that I'm going to cut. A piece of scrap angle. And once I cut it, I'll weld a piece on here, probably on the outside here like this. I'm going to cut it in half, so it'll be more closer to being about like that. And then I'll put a piece on the bottom and weld it in place also. And then I'll paint that again so it don't rust, and this job will be finished. And right now I'm just going to go ahead and grind that up, hit it with the black paint, and then I'll cut that. And when I'm getting ready to weld that in place, I'll show you clamping it in place and welding it. Okay, as you can see, I got this all painted up. It's still kind of drying, but while it's drying, what I can do is take a piece of chalk or soapstone and go ahead and lay the angle where I need it on top and bottom, and trying to center the angle with where it was broke, and then go ahead and mark it so I know where I'm going to be grinding to go ahead and bare the metal so it will weld. Because it don't, even though I'm using flux core, you're better off having bare metal to weld than trying to weld over the rust. I'm going to do the same thing with this piece, and it's going to go underneath and on the inside. And I'm going to be laying on the ground to do that. And that's why I got the cardboard down on this wet ground, because it was pouring down rain. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Then I'm going to take the grinder and go ahead and grind where I've marked it, and grind the ends of this down, the angle, so it'll weld real nice. And once I clamp it down, I'll be right back. Okay, we got this all welded up. I'm going to tell you again, I'm not claiming to be a professional welder, but now I just got to hit it with the grinder, grind some of this down, and go ahead and throw some paint on it.